Welcome to FFC Top 3, a show where we, your FFC hosts, count things down from 3 to number 1. Thank you for joining us this week. If you have a suggestion for Top 3, like a few of you have this week, be sure to drop us a note on Twitter at FocusFireChat, in our Discord, or even email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com. This week is a suggestion from one of the Guardians of Lore podcast alumnus. He suggested we talk about our top 3 villain deaths. So, characters that have died who are villains, our top 3 favorite ones of those guys. With us, as always, it's Green Eyes Music Lover, if I can say my own name for once this evening, as well as Blue Crew 86, and in the hot seat tonight is Do You Know Destiny?
And my individual name is VulshokBersrker.
Yeah, but I know you as Do You Know
Yes.
Destiny? Absolutely. VulshokBersrker. So, we're going to count things down from 3 to number 1 on this. I'm going to have Blue go first this evening, then Vulshok, then myself, and we will get this thing going. Threes are starting us. Blue, you are up.
So my number 3 was actually really annoying because I have so most of them are or actually all mine are from books, but I can't remember the names of the villains, and I don't actually ever I don't remember, and it's been a long time since I've read the series. I don't remember if they actually die. But they were
really?
I just remember the visceral feeling of the group of villains that it's from the Blending series by Sharon Green. It's a team, so it's basically a team of different magic users against a mirrored team of different magic users. It's a huge competition type thing, and I remember the series itself is really it's a very adult series, but it's also got a really, really cool, unique blend of the magic system that they use. And so it's one of my favorite series because of the magic system that they have. But I cannot for the life of me remember the arch nemesis team that is going on. They're just but I remember them just being she did a really good job in making them 100% believable and also sympathetic. But you still wanted to just punch them in the throat. It was one of those. It was one of those group of characters that you were they meshed really well together, which was kind of the whole point of the whole blending concept. But as a whole, you just wanted to punch them in the throat. But yeah, it was that group, and then it was actually a tie between that group and then the group of species from Battlefield Earth known as the Cyclos, who did get killed as a whole. Their entire race pretty much got exterminated in the book, and it was again a situation where L. Ron Hubbard I seriously loved that book. I've actually read that book enough times that I've gone through 3 copies of it.
Wow.
And if you've ever seen that book, you'll understand what that's significance of that. It's a very large book. And yeah, I've actually read to rags 3 copies of that book. But the Cyclos as a whole, they're the main antagonist of that novel, and it's just their comeuppance that they get at the end is a combination of they basically are architects of their own destruction in a number of different ways, but it's just beautifully done in my opinion.
Nice. Yes. Okay, this is good. This is a little cathartic for me because just bad guy deaths. Hearing about bad guy deaths and the stories behind it is always a little nice. All right.
I guess
Berserker. I'm gonna go with.
I guess I'm up now. Let's see. Number 3, I would say, would probably be one of my favorite book series, the trilogy. I guess no, there's 4 books now of Aragon, the Death of Gabotorax. It's been
Really?
It's been quite some time since I read the books, but I
was about to say I haven't. Yeah. I think I read the first 2 books.
I have all 4, but I waited so long for the 4th one, Inheritance, to come out that finally being able to read the death of the Mad Emperor felt so satisfying. And years ago at this point, the author Christopher Plowen, I want to say, said he's going to make a fifth one. So I wonder if they're going to...
I have to go back and reread those.
Yeah, I hope that we get some more info on Galbator, because all we remember was he was a dragon rider who turned on everybody, but I want to know, like, more about him. What, like, how his mind went through when he became the villain.
Interesting.
Yeah, I remember I was reading those books around the same time that I was reading I think it's Sabriel series.
Oh, those are
Garth
good.
Nix,
Those are good.
Which has oh geez, you want to talk about, man, fascinating magic system. That was another one that was really interesting because the bells.
I gotta get a list of books from you guys because all of these magic systems sound amazing.
Yeah, I'm really bad actually. Like I'll put up with really bad books if they have really good systems. Like it's real. I'm kind of, it's like, I'm not embarrassed to say that, but I have read some just like, if I'm looking back, I'm like, oh, that book is absolute trash. But the underlying system that was like there, that was being kind of touched on, was like, I'm like, I really like that. I'll fixate on those types of things.
That's my feeling on the entire book series. Was it Clockwork Angel?
I haven't gotten into that one. But I've heard
the systems
stuff.
are nice, but the weird storyline, no.
That's Vampire Earth. If you've ever E.E. Knight, it's a really interesting twist on the vampire mythos. Not like, I wouldn't say it's horrible storytelling, but like the twist on the mythos is definitely the reason I read them. It's not because of the story, like. But I can talk forever on that. So green.
Nice. Yeah, no worries. My number 3 is The Death of the Six-Fingered Man, Count Rugen from Princess Bride. Because
Never watched it.
Oh my god, it's also a good book too.
It's
also a really good book. But it's just so satisfying because Inigo Montoya, one of the main characters in the book or in the movie as well, has a scar left on him from Count Rugen, and Count Rugen had killed his father when he was younger and left him the scar as a reminder, just to be like,
as he so happily reminds everybody.
Yes, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Great little scene, but he finally gets to enact his own little bit of revenge at the end after like Rugen has basically like taken off because he's really a coward. He's not, and Inigo ends up being the better swordsman in the end. So it's very satisfying for Montoya to basically take him out at the end, get his revenge, and his last kind of thing he says to him is all he wants is to have his father back. He doesn't want gold, he doesn't want riches or anything like that. He just wants his father back, and obviously he can't give it to him. So it's very satisfying to get that little bit of revenge, that familial revenge on that. But that brings us to number 2's Blue.
Mine is Mordred from the Dark Tower series. I can't remember what exactly it was. Either one before last, or the one before that, kind of touched on that. But Mordred is he was basically created to be the antithesis of Roland, and through a series of unfortunate little, not events but tweaks, basically ends up again being the architect of his own destruction in a weird way, but he's like in the same regards that he is super uncomfortable to read about. He's also really pitiful. Like King did a really good job with Mordred in the book series. Well, he hasn't been introduced. I don't know if he's going to be introduced in the TV show. But like Mordred's character is is very reminiscent of the actual Mordred from the Arthurian legends. And when he is put down in the books, it's actually almost a mercy kill that is being performed, which is it's appropriate to his character because he's basically he was created really with a intent to be a weapon, not actually like there was no regard for his like personhood. Which is a really interesting thing to read about, and that actually ties into my number one. But yeah, so Mordred from the Dark Tower, he's in the latter fourth, I think.
He's after Rhea.
Yes. He makes Rhea look like a walk in the park. I will put it that way.
You're not making it easy for me to pick it back up.
Because like the thing is like Rhea was like, she sold herself to like what's referred to like as the outer darkness. Like she was like she had her own issues and she completely embraced them. Mordred was never like given a choice. He was created by the Crimson King to basically for the purpose of killing Roland. Like he was created, and from the very beginning of his existence, he was basically unleashed on the world. Then there's like a huge connection throughout the entire series of how Mordred came into existence, and it was like it's really messed up. But like the entire time, he actually views Roland, like you see the story from his perspective in a few chapters, and you're like, as much as he has like this built-in hatred of Roland as a figure of whatever it's been programmed into him, he also is in a weird way hit Roland's son. And
awkward.
Yes, no, but that's actually what in turn creates this sense of like he just wants to be loved. He's just like a child. He just like no one has ever shown him love, and that's actually what is his undoing. Is he's like yearning so much for this connection that he basically opens himself up, and that's what allows him to be overcome ultimately. But yeah, he's both a really fascinating character that you can't help but really feel uncomfortable with his character, but you also kind of feel really sorry for his character at the same time. King does a really good job with making those villains, like the villains that are like they're weirdly pitiable, like it's
pitiable, like. I'm sorry.
Pitiable.
Oh, have pity upon.
Yes. That one.
Okay,
that word.
Gotcha. All right. Do you have a pitiable villain next? Berserk?
I would have to say General Zhao from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, I get you on that one.
Because he was basically the stereotypical villain, and then when was it the Southern Water Tribe? When he invaded them, and he had the moon and ocean spirits take him, it was to me a satisfying death because he deserved it a lot. And then later on, when the Legend of Korra came around, not only was he, I would say, killed in the physical world, but his astral or his soul was trapped in the foggy mazes for all eternity, which I think is a very, I could say, bad, great punishment for him.
Wasn't he... Okay, so I'm trying to remember his connection to some of the other characters. Like, there was a more personalized connection between him and some of the characters, wasn't there?
I believe he was at the match between Zuko and his father where he got burned in the eye.
When Zuko got burned?
And he had a little bit of a disdain for Iroh because of his failures at Bossing Say.
Yeah, and Zuko was always trying to live up to his father, or essentially kind of thing.
The whole honor thing, which he grew up from, which is great. But I feel like General Zhao was maybe an early inkling of what Zuko could have become if he went down the wrong path. You guys read such great books, and I got like an old show. It's a great show.
I mean, I've got my next one's going to be a movie villain, so mainly because I love the actor.
Is it Matt Damon?
My number. No.
Matt Damon.
Oh.
Matt Damon.
Has Matt Damon ever played a bad guy?
Interstellar.
Like, I don't think I. Really?
Yeah,
I would laugh at him being a
Interstellar,
bad
he was
guy.
kind of a
Just
creeper,
saying.
wasn't he?
I think he was alone for too long.
I was about to say, isn't that the one that was slightly uncomfortable if you actually thought about what was going on?
Mm-hmm.
He did.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it because I was like, I
it's
saw
so
it and I was like,
good. I love space.
Isn't that the one with
stuff.
him
It's so
and
good.
is it Jennifer Lawrence?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt.
Yeah. That's the one I'm thinking of because that was the creepy one. Oh, yeah. Amazing Mr. Ripley.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Bad guy.
Yeah. The problem I have with Matt Damon is I have like my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, like the little trilogy is the Oceans series, the Oceans 11, 12, 13. And he plays Linus, he plays bumbling really well. And I cannot see Matt Damon in any other role other than just like a kid who doesn't quite know and gets kind of thrown into the most awkward situations. Sorry, Matt, if you ever listen to this show, which I highly doubt, but sorry. One of my favorite actors of all time in multiple movies, also played the villain in another trilogy that I know gets a lot of bad rap, and it is Agent Smith, Hugo Weaving from The Matrix, when Neo basically, through the power of what we don't even know for sure, basically rewrites his programming and just
The power of
completely
Christ compelled
obliterates
him.
Yeah, I know. I have such mixed feelings about that last.
Well, that's what
happened.
happened.
But
Here,
I know.
Unfiltered
I know.
opinion. That's what happens is
I know.
when the story that you stole doesn't have a conclusion, you have to come up with one.
Yeah.
Well, did you ever hear the fan theory on that ending?
Which one?
What was the prophecy that the one born in the Matrix would save it?
Mm-hmm.
Someone.
That it was actually Smith the entire time.
But it was actually Smith the entire time because since Neo destroyed him in 3 and was reborn at that moment, he was the one who saved the Matrix.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Or
that's
was
what
it-
Black Flag's saying in chat right now.
I don't know, but he just plays such a good bad
yeah.
guy in that. Like,
He's been in a couple other ones that he's been a slightly like not good, but not necessarily bad. He does a really good job.
Him as Elrond in
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of
He's
the
up-
Rings was like my first introduction to him, and yeah, he's just amazing.
He carries the room.
He's up there with Gary Oldman as far as like actors who play good bad guys in my mind.
Yeah. And it's funny because he plays very serious actors or very serious roles very well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith is definitely my number 2 on that one, which brings us towards the end of our show. We have number 1s. Time to wrap it up. Blue, what do we got?
Number 1 is definitely Walter Odom, again from the Black Tower or Dark Tower series, mostly because he is so much more within the mythos of Stephen King than just the Dark Tower. Like, Walter is a prevalent figure throughout a large majority of King's works. He makes appearances in a number of different air quotes series because they actually all are connected inside the Dark Tower multiverse. Within the overarching multiverse, and Walter is one of the very dark threads that connects all of them. So when he finally gets his just rewards at the hand of his own creation, which is it's both an extremely graphic and very, very, very disturbing scene when he does get killed, but also one that you're reading and you're like, that's right. Go back to the beginning of the chapter, read it again. Go back to I might have read that chapter like 3 times in a row because it was one of the it's one of those characters in which you're like, I don't normally like take pleasure in seeing a character brought to an end, but like Walter's character was just he was just so well written as a villain, and he was so unredeemable. Like even in his last pitiful moments when he's like completely reduced and, you know, he realizes that he is not going to achieve, you know, his grand scheme of becoming, you know, his goal of becoming the one who scales the tower. Like that, like watching that hope in him getting crushed was like, I'm like, yes, do it again. Like, it's just, great ending to his character by King, and I think that was in the Dark Tower. Actually, I want to say that he was there right up until nearly the very end. I can't remember if it was the Dark Tower or the one right before that, but he nearly made it. He nearly made it, and then appropriately he was denied.
Yay! I like it when bad guys are denied their final wish or whatever. They don't actually get their.
It's such a satisfying feeling.
It is. What is your number 1, sir?
Well, given the 20 minutes I thought about it, I'd have to say not just like this isn't just like one character in this case. It's like a trio. It would be the 3 prophets from Halo, because I read the books, and if I'm remembering correctly, the 3 prophets knew that the Great Journey was a lie, because they had an oracle from 100 years prior telling them the true purpose of Halo. Yet they still used the Great Journey as a way to get Forerunner tech and then almost wipe the galaxy free of all life. And to me, it's the turning entire races fanatical for a goal they don't truly understand evil. And them getting their comeuppance one by one with, what was it? Mercy being punched to death by Master Chief.
As he rightfully deserved.
Truth. Oh, how did Truth die?
Truth.
Arbiter. That's what it was. Arbiter.
Yeah, Truth was skewered.
And the third one taken by the flood. And just based on some of the accounts of like Captain Keyes when he's being taken control of the flood, sounds brutal. And I love it a lot.
Well, and it's especially since you read the books, you know that what they did to become prophets.
Yeah, they were very,
like
very
how
dirty.
they did not they skewered the system quite hard or quite heavily.
They do love glassing planets.
Ooh, I forgot about that part of that. All right. So my number 1 is very visceral. It is one of my favorite scenes and probably one of the most iconic / scene that it was burned into my mind as a young child. And it is when a chain gets thrown around the neck and just with all of her weight, Princess Leia suffocates Jabba the Hutt. Because Lord, that one needed to happen so badly.
Have you read the book of okay, so go and see if you. I'll see if I can find one. I'll send you a copy of mine if I can find my old books, because the death scene for Jabba in the like original script is just so oh my god, it's so great. because it's basically called out that she has to strangle him because you can't shoot him.
What?
Because he's a Hutt. Because Hutts are so fat. You can't actually, like, they've actually tried to assassinate a Hutt, and, like, literally people have wasted entire blaster charges. And there's just nothing that happens. It's so bad.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually why she strangles him, is because she wants to make sure that he actually gets killed.
Right. Because he's got basically ballistics amount of fat to be able to stop any bolt from going through the layers. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure a lightsaber can cut through it, but it would still take a lot of chopping.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, him. Black Flag. Yeah, technically, I think the lightsabers could kill him, but but it's a really kind of interesting, like, because that's actually sort of called out in what's that, Return of the Jedi. It was called out there, and then it's actually called out also within Tales from Jabba's Hutt's palace, when you actually get to read a small story about a Hutt giving birth. It's really interesting, like how the expanded universe built some of the alien species up.
I don't want to know.
Hutts are very well. Hutts are they're asexual.
Really? Okay.
They don't actually. Yeah, they actually kind of like. They're like slugs. They basically like split. Yeah, it's like really weird. But it's like it's called out like they're the most vulnerable when they're little because they don't have the copious amounts of flesh or fat around them.
A lightsaber could definitely kill a Hutt because.
Oh yeah, it would take a bit of.
Well, yeah, it'd be like when Qui-Gon was cutting through that steel door.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, yeah, but Luke didn't have his lightsaber at that point, did he?
No, he did not. Because that's what we're talking about, Chad. He force grabbed a pistol to shoot Jabba before he got thrown into. Which, oh my gosh, that's such a sad story too. Like the actual story of the Rancor that's in the pit.
Yeah,
like
I know that.
He's actually like the pet of the I want to call him groundskeeper. He's not a gameskeeper. The dude that gets basically thrown in there at the end. Like he actually really cared for that Rancor. It's like it's actually kind of sad. Yeah, he's actually kind of sad. I'm like, oh, that's. Oh.
Well, he like cries at the end of it, doesn't he? Like in the scene, you see him like upset. Mm-hmm. Yeah, poor guy. I don't know. Did you guys have any like also rans that almost made your list?
Yeah.
I know I had at least one.
I had the Alien Queen from Aliens, just simply because Sigourney Weaver's line right before she rams it with the forklift is like seriously one of the best ones, and it's about a cat.
It's about a cat?
Yeah.
I've never watched Aliens, so I don't know.
No. So, it's not. I mean, I
don't do suspense.
I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'll give you that. It's more of a suspense, I think. But no, like, so the entire thing is like, she's on the entire Alien series is really, in my opinion, really good. The book series is even better, but but there's like the whole thing of like she's killing all the xenomorphs or whatever, and the Queen goes berserk, and they're in the very final scene of everything, and. She's in like this like weird. So they're on the spaceship, and she's on, and it's a like a engineering bay. So they have like all the heavy equipment, and it's basically a forklift is really what it is that she ends up just skewering this alien with, and but the bait that she uses is the cat that has been like in the entire movie. The cat like just it never gets hurt, like it always just manages to get out of the way, but she's using it as bait, and the entire time this alien is like dedicated to trying to get to the cat, because it keeps like oh god, it's just a scratch. Oh god. That was the best part of that movie was the like but no, so like there's the scene where it's basically Ridley, and her response is, "Get away from her, you!" Beep beep. and she hits the alien queen with the force and pushes it out into space. It's just like it's one of those scenes where it's Ridley Scott. Like, he does such a good job with the whole like emotive presentation. And it's just I seriously, it's just she's just one of those villain kills that's just perfect.
You know what? Another one of the like childhood scarring ones that almost made my list was the Nazis from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Ooh.
Oh, the
Indiana.
skull melting. And,
Oh, yeah.
Oh god.
Lost Ark was, and then also the
one where the heart moving through the body.
Temple of Doom.
Indiana Jones had some real graphic deaths.
Isn't
Yeah.
the Ark the one where if Indiana wasn't in it, it would have turned out exactly the same?
yes, yeah,
Because he's not an actual hero in that one.
no.
He just is smart enough not to open his
He
eyes
just,
and look at the Ark
he
of the
just
Covenant.
managed to read the clues and was like, a clue, don't touch the thing.
Yeah.
What was the
Basically.
Last Crusade was the other one that like, it's you have chosen poorly.
Oh, yeah, the Grail. See him age real quickly.
Yeah.
Man,
Do you guys have any other ones?
I was gonna say one, and then Grubber from Die Hard, just simply because the behind the scenes story of how they didn't tell Rickman about it. Hans with the fall.
So
like he's hanging, he's hanging there,
I
and
remember
like
those.
they didn't tell him that he was like they were gonna drop him basically. So the look of panic on his face in the movie, that's the actual response of him being dropped. He's like, it just makes it a little bit better in my mind. And yes, it is also the best Christmas movie ever.
Still don't believe that.
I'm wondering with Blue on this one.
I'm like, wasn't it Bife that got in an argument about that?
Yes, yes, because he was here when we did the holiday movie top 3.
I mean, it's not the
God
typical
bless
holiday movie, but it is a holiday movie.
It is a holiday movie, literally, and it's also
It's fine, whatever. Oh, Gremlins. Gremlins is not a holiday movie.
Gremlins is not.
Boo.
One or two.
I don't remember.
Boo. None. I don't like Gremlins. We've had this discussion. Gremlins actually was the one, like, I know it's not an actual horror movie, but it is actually the movie that gave me the most nightmares growing up.
I could
Don't
see
know
that.
why.
Yeah, me too.
They were just terrifying.
In the age of Furbies.
God. Oh my gosh. So the story about a Furby. Those things are evil. Those things are freaking evil. Okay, so I lived semi-catty corner to a friend of mine. She had a Furby. I stayed the night at her place.
Oh, no, they're creepy.
Those things activate.
Yeah.
They activate with motion. They're supposed to activate with motion. We were asleep.
Yeah,
on the
they'll
floor.
wake
The
up
Furby
randomly.
was on the dresser. It woke up and started talking to us, and I'm
That's
like,
terrifying.
yeah, no, I'm going home.
yeah,
I'm
no.
not staying the rest of the night. Like, we're not doing
We
this
had one, and
anymore.
it ended quickly with a baseball bat because it did
Yeah.
that, and I was like, nope, sorry, I'm not playing this game.
They were creepy, and they'd be like, they're kind of like lighthearted, but at the same time, it's like, Furby says hello.
Well, a
and it's
child's
like, oh
laugh
god, nope.
brings you a lot of joy, unless you live alone in an apartment
And you don't have a
Yeah.
child.
and you don't have a child.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
those. So I like how you two both are like, we don't like horror movies, but some of the best things that I've ever seen are the horror stories in 2 sentences. Have you guys ever seen
I've
those?
seen some of those, yeah.
Oh
No.
my gosh, they're so great. Like they're not movies, but they're like hang on, let me look up a few.
I browse Reddit sometimes and I see them.
Yeah, they're really big on Reddit. 150 short 2-sentence horror stories to freak you out.
Yep, nope, I don't want to. Let's not.
No, hang on.
Green-
It's really cool.
Green wants to sleep. Green wants to sleep tonight.
Because one of the best ones. Oh yeah. So here, this is the one. So I begin tucking him into bed, and he tells me, "Daddy, check for monsters under my bed." I look underneath for his amusement and see him, another him, under the bed, staring back at me, quivering and whispering,
Oh, I've seen that
"Daddy,
one.
there's somebody on my bed."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Well then.
They're so good. They're so good. I love them because it's always like the wait, hang on, what? Like,
Oh, so you know the "I'm sorry, John" thing?
yeah.
With Garfield? It's like that to me.
Oh yeah.
Just the uncomfortable feeling of something behind
have
you.
So I got introduced to Garfield with a pipe. Yeah, I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
I highly encourage you to look up Garfield with a pipe. It is some of the worst humor I have ever found in a comic, but it's also hilarious.
Interesting.
Chat's not happy with me.
Yeah, it's fine. You know, I'm actually going to wrap up this episode before we get into too many more things that might give children some nightmares, including myself, because I'm considering myself childlike at this point, even though that ship has sailed a long time ago. So, thank you guys for joining us for Top 3. Remember to shout out your suggestions for us. They're always fun. If you want to torture me a little bit more, talk more about horror stories, because definitely not a huge fan of that. But I don't mind a little conversation now and then. But if you have those suggestions, hit us up on Twitter, in Discord, or at focusfirechat@gmail.com. And then remember, until next time, everybody loves the list.